Okay.
Yeah,
Good morning. This is the Lightwalker's Path. I'm Rosemary DeTrolio, owner of Hands of Light by Rosemary, located in New Jersey. And I have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Sue Begent. Begent? Tell me your name.
Regent.
Begent. Thank you. Oh, I had three guesses and I messed it up. Okay. Um, Sue Begent is a Fortune 500 marketer. And what I love about what she does, she calls herself a soul business strategist. Her creation is the Unleashed Diamond Path, designed for spiritual entrepreneurs like myself and others, healers and coaches who want expert guidance from someone who gets them. And Sue certainly does get us. Her own unique vision brings perspective. She teaches you how to engage your buyers and simplifies. Her mission is to support heart centered, spiritually aligned entrepreneurs so that they can serve the world and have her as a wonderful guide to help us do that. And I love talking to Sue because she has wonderful ideas and she does totally understand the struggles that we have as entrepreneurs in this spiritual realm. So, Sue, welcome. Nice to see you today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So, my question, and I love these, is you have started a soul centered coaching and you have pivoted to a certain point in your life where you're working with people in this realm. And I'm going to ask you, how do you assist your clients to do this? Because I love it.
That's quite a big question.
Yes.
And I'm sure that we'll talk more in depth, as we're
No.
chatting together. But I think one of the most important things is that the first thing actually I need to say is about alignment,
Mm-hmm.
because energy always precedes strategy. Strategy
Yes.
is important, and I do a lot of strategy, but nothing is more important than energetic alignment. Now, what do I mean by that? I think alignment is a word that, as spiritual entrepreneurs, whatever we do, we tend to, we know what that means. We sort
We
of know,
understand.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I think it's also one of those words that there are levels of understanding it. And we
Mm-hmm.
can be at this level and, oh, yes, I know exactly what alignment is. But then as we mature as spiritual entrepreneurs, our depth of understanding of that drops in. And when
Mm-hmm.
I talk about alignment, what I'm talking about is alignment between your higher self or your soul,
Mm-hmm.
your conscious self, your thinking brain, with which we have been taught to over engage with the
Yes.
world, and our subconscious, which is the wiring of our nervous system, it's the in the DNA,
Mm-hmm.
it's and that's the result of so many things. I think
Mm-hmm.
we don't realize that every experience that we have creates an imprint,
Oh,
positive
yes.
imprints and
Mm-hmm.
also
Like,
challenging
yes.
imprints. And
Yes.
not only that, then that breaks down into what we've experienced in our family and our
Oh,
growing up and our
yes.
personal biography,
Mm-hmm.
our societal programming. We're all
Of course.
subject to that. And then our heritage, what has been handed down through the generations, and not just in terms of handing down beliefs and
Of
this is what our
course.
family thought,
Yes.
but also in our DNA. We know from
Right.
epigenetics. So before I sort of, because that what I do, what I've just talked about isn't, the core of what I do with my clients, because I help them, once they're on this path of alignment, then
Mm-hmm.
I help them with their marketing, because you need both.
So, yeah, so I was going to say that I totally agree with that. And as a person who's done this for a long time and worked with a lot of people, one of the things I always do before I do any business decision is I get alignment with my higher self. I focus on my question. I feel my body awareness because
Mm,
I also teach intuitive practices. It's so important to listen to that inner voice because sometimes the voices we hear are that early programming, our family,
yeah.
our old belief systems that we have to put aside and then tap into that inner knowing. So I'm glad that you help people to do this as well. So
And I'm glad that you do it as well, because
absolutely.
we have been trained out of listening to our body,
Oh,
and
yes.
yet our bodies are communicating with us all the time.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
such an important distinction to make here. I'm sure you do this with your clients. I know that you do. Is how do you tell the difference between when it is the voice of that old programming, and you're
Uh-huh.
just like, is that or
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
But when it's all programming, there's if you're tuning into your body, there's
Yes.
an
Your body
emotion that
doesn't
comes
lie.
with it.
Yes.
Whereas true guidance, true aligned guidance, is a whisper.
Oh,
It
yes.
doesn't have that.
And it doesn't have that emotion attached. It's very,
Yeah,
it'll just come in softly. And like
yeah,
one of the skills I teach both my healers and during my intuition workshops is how to tap into that energy and feel it in your body. And because
yeah,
your body won't lie, your brain will. That like judgy
yeah,
left brain thing will chatter at you. And that's how
mm,
you know the difference. Like when I make a decision, I can tell if I'm feeling opened or closed. And that's my
yeah.
signal. And so I teach people using their body as a pendulum, feeling the energy move through them. And a lot of people that are overthinkers, they don't know how to do that. They're just up
Yeah.
here trying to chatter it through the brain, and that's where they're getting derailed. Do you
And
find,
there's no
oh,
judgment in that, I
no,
think.
no, it's just where
No
they
judgment,
are.
because we are so programmed. And I think that we've been programmed that achievement,
Oh, of course.
and
High
money and all of those
achievers.
things, you
Yeah,
know, come with that. And often those things in the realm that's outside of it,
of
come
course.
from that over striving and intellectual
Yes.
focus.
A
Yeah,
very male viewpoint of
absolutely.
achieving. It's like one of the things that turns me off with a lot of businesses is they'll contact you and say, "Do you want to make $5 million and bring it to the next level?" That turns me off because it's not about the next level. It's about
Yeah,
understanding the level that you want to reach your clients at and growing that feeling of joy and happiness and help, and then the money
yeah.
follows. That's always been my theory. It's not like looking for that number first. To me, that's
I
crazy.
so agree with that.
Yeah.
It is, and you just touched on something which you know was going to be my next point, actually, which
Mhm.
is one of the things that when I'm focusing on helping spiritual entrepreneurs with their marketing is nurturing the
Yes.
feminine in business,
Oh, yeah.
because we have been so programmed around the masculine in this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also, I mean, even as coaches and healers, so many of the people that we've gone to and still go to when we're
Mhm.
looking for help in this area
Mhm.
are focused on this masculine energy of make it happen,
Right.
fit
Make
in
it
this
happen. Get
box.
it
This is what you've
higher.
got to do.
It's like,
Yes.
ah.
Uh, And
Yes.
yet it is, and you need the healthy masculine. The healthy
Mhm.
masculine is very
Mhm.
important. It creates the container, it is the support,
Mhm.
but the feminine is the flow. It
Oh,
is the
absolutely.
allowing to come through.
Yes.
It is, it does not have that push energy.
Yes.
It has
Yes.
the flow of
It has the
allowing
flow.
energy.
That's how I know that it's the
Mm,
right decision for me, is that if I'm in flow and there's not that huge uphill battle, then you know that you're in flow. As soon as you're feeling that like extreme resistance, the resistance could either be in an old belief that you hold, or it could be that
yeah,
the situation just isn't right and you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole and it's just not going. So I always know if I
yeah,
feel that resistance, there's a reason. So I kind of step back and say, well, where is this resistance coming from? If it's from me, I have to look at it. If it's from a situation, I turn away and say that's not the right setting for me for now. Could be
right.
later. I don't know. Do you find like that there's common things? Like for me, I know that a lot of my healer friends, we all have this thing where we're not allowed to take money because we're healers. And I had to
Oh,
really fight the feeling that it's energy and currency and it's not the dollar, but it releases that other person to give to you and it creates that currency flow without resistance.
absolutely.
That's how I see it. Do you find a lot of your clients are in that state where they're like, "Oh my goodness, I don't want to raise my price. I can't ask for money." Like that's what I found with a lot of my friends that are in the healing realm.
I do think this is so common. It's it's very common for healers and coaches, people who come from the heart, they want to help,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel a discomfort in
Mm-hmm.
taking money. I
Yes.
also think it comes from a lot of programming as women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Part of it is our self worth, the
Yes.
way we see ourselves, and we, those of us who are more nurturing,
Yes.
just it's like give and not count the cost.
Yes.
It's a lot of messages, a
Uh-huh.
lot of messages.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I completely agree with you. It
Yeah.
is about our self-worth.
Yes.
And that's very important work for us to
Yes.
do as women in particular. And I
Yes.
think and this is part of why I'm so passionate about heart-centered entrepreneurs, because it
Mm-hmm.
is this growth, this awakening, this expansion inside of us as women that the world really, really needs.
Yes.
It
I
really needs.
I
And so,
completely
yes,
agree.
it's a big task,
Yes.
but it's also it's an energetic exchange. And as
Mm-hmm.
we heal internally, we realize that our abundance when we get paid is also their abundance,
That's
because
right.
so it is
Yes.
absolutely. And as we get more aligned with what we're here to do, as we really embrace the value of what we
Yes.
bring, then charging it's
Part
not
of it.
even it's not a thing. It's not a thing that we
Yes.
worry about, and it's something that saying our price becomes easy. It's
Yes.
comfortable. It
We
is
could
just
just say it.
simply part of the exchange, and we
Yes.
are
So
exchanging
true.
energy all the time. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that the
Yeah.
energy of money carries
Yes.
many
Has
a lot of
emotions.
baggage with it.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
really
It
does.
does. But it is
Yes.
about self-worth. And this is why it's
Yes.
so important, I think, women entrepreneurs, to be a spiritually called
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, healer, coach is a spiritual calling. It
Oh, I believe it
calls you
is.
into
It
growth. It
does.
calls you into growing into your worth.
Oh, yeah.
In that moment, you can actually own the things that I specifically help people with.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it is when we stop generalizing and we start to own the unique perspective that our life, our training, all of the
Mm-hmm.
wisdom that we have,
Mm-hmm.
when we own the unique perspective that comes from that, we start to stand out,
Oh, I believe that.
because
Yes, we're so unique.
we are simply allowing to come through us
Mm-hmm.
what only we can say it this way. Many
Yeah.
people may have a similar message, but the way we say it
Oh, yeah. It's
is
unique.
unique to
It's unique.
us.
The other thing
And
too.
it's also when for each of us, our growth journey is
Mm-hmm.
different, even though the
Oh, it
themes may be
is.
similar.
Yes.
And when we talk to, when we focus on clients who are in some
Mm-hmm.
way an earlier version of us, we
Yes.
can really speak heart to heart with
That's
them.
right. That's
And
right.
one of the things that I help people do is to find your heart and speak to
Mm-hmm.
their heart through the screen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I specifically work with people who, often the people I work with will have had some success offline. They'll be
Oh, yeah.
networking, word of mouth, you
Yes.
know, and yet now they're like, my next step, my next growth edge is to be successful online.
So I'm
And
gonna,
that, of course, is a lot more
yes.
challenging.
So I have one of my very close friends has a thing where she's ready to do more like online, and she feels like almost like imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? So it's that worthiness thing. One of my other friends, who is a very talented healer, would never accept enough money. Then she wound up working two jobs to get money to pay her bills, and then she was exhausted. She couldn't do her business. I'm like, if you just charge more for your business and understood that you're making such a difference, you wouldn't have to work two other jobs to support yourself and pay your bills, because all of us have that. We all have something to pay, right? So,
We have to
expecting
start seeing ourselves as unique, though,
as unique.
because Yeah, because
Absolutely.
often what's going on in the mindset of somebody who's there is they're not fully embracing that. And
Oh,
so
yes,
they don't sound that way
that's right.
because it's your business comes from inside you,
It comes from
you know.
inside you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the other big mistake that I see very often is we've all done ideal client exercises, and it
Oh,
almost and we all, I can remember a time when I would just go, I was like, not another one, just don't make me do it again.
you have to. You learn from everyone, even if they're not your ideal client. In fact, you learn more from those in the beginning of your business that are not your ideal client, because then you learn where your parameters are, where your boundary is, and the types of people that you want to draw in and why you're not getting those. That's my feeling.
The But that, I think, misses a really important point, and this is missed by most people, but
Mhm.
it matters
Mhm.
because, I know that you and I totally agree with, like, ideal client is never a psychographic or a demographic.
Right.
I talk to a lot of coaches,
Uh-huh.
spiritual entrepreneurs, and I hear a lot of advice that they've received. But here's what's not being spoken about, not nearly
Mhm.
enough. Yes, you narrow in. I totally agree with you. You need a little bit of experience to really figure out,
Mhm.
oh, these types of people I
Right.
resonate with. These
Right.
types of people I don't. And it's about your energy and resonance.
That's
This
right.
is why you can have a similar message to somebody. Your way of saying it will attract a different
Certain
person
people.
from person B who might
Absolutely.
you might think, why does anybody need me? But they do.
They do.
They
Everyone has a
so do.
different way.
But
Yeah.
here's the point I want to make. There is, now you've narrowed in. So for instance, spiritual entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers are my people. But my real people are a subset of that. And this is the piece that
Yeah.
people miss
Mhm.
because there are, within that group, there are a lot of people like your friend that you just talked about who are,
Mhm.
gosh, I've got to work 2 jobs, now I'm too exhausted,
Mhm.
now I can't. They are not ready. They're
Mhm.
not ready
Yes.
to say yes
Yes,
to
to the
somebody
whole
who
thing.
can really
Yes.
address their problem.
Yeah.
So even though she's in the pool, she's not ready. She's
Right.
not ready.
I
She's
see.
still she's still spinning.
Yeah.
But then there's a next layer in, because
Mhm.
then the next layer in is somebody who says, I need to do something about this. I'm going to have to do something about this. I've tried free. I tried low cost. I tried this. I've tried that. And
Yes.
none of it is really landed. But I wonder if I can still figure it out. And
Mhm.
so they come across somebody like me and they
Different.
go, oh, I think I'd like to talk with her. And
Mhm.
they're like,
More
no, oh,
open
that's
to it.
really interesting. That's really
Mhm.
interesting. But I'm not ready.
Right.
I'm not at the point where I'm not decision ready. I'm not in my
Right.
power
Then you get the
and
little
ready.
close ones. Your
So then, Rosemary,
yeah.
what I say is the powerful people who are in their power, who are ready to make a decision now, who they don't need. You see, what traditional marketing has taught us is talk to the pain point. And that has made sense because it's like,
Mhm.
well, if you don't have the problem, then you're not going to be interested in the solution. But here's the
Right.
thing.
Don't always
A
know.
lot of those two groups that I've just talked about, they're problem aware, but still sort of floating around.
Right.
Or they're really now starting to explore solutions, but they're not. They say, oh yes, it's not quite the right time, or oh, I can't afford it. They haven't
Right.
quite
Not quite
got to that
right
place.
there. Mhm.
But the people who are ready are, like, they're not running around going, oh my God, I've got an urgent problem. That's
Mhm.
not where they are.
No, they're just
They
ready to know
are,
a solution.
and they are, when they come across the right solution,
Mhm.
they're able to make a really good decision for themselves.
Right.
Those people are the people, they find you, they resonate with your energy, they get the logic of what you were talking about, and they go, I'm
Oh
ready.
yeah,
Where
that's
do
it.
I sign? And
Yeah.
that's not, that's where I help my clients get to,
Right, right. And those are the ones
because they're
you
not
want.
usually
Yeah,
seeing that.
right. And
And you fit that with your unique perspective, which is part of what they come in for. And then you really provide that to the ready client. And you stop worrying about the other people.
that's why I don't
Now
believe
your
in
marketing
competition.
has power.
Yeah,
And now your online presence has power. It
right.
has clarity.
Right.
And
So one of the
clarity is usually the thing that's
reasons,
missing
right,
when I look at people's marketing. And what people say is, I'm so good at what I do. And when I explain it, I think it's really clear. And people don't get it.
right.
And so it takes somebody like me with years of marketing experience. I do 15-minute conversations with people. And in that 15 minutes, I can see exactly. I can
Right.
share exactly. I know exactly.
I
And that's one
think
of the things
I
that I
always
offer.
say when a client pays you right away, then you know they're like jumping right on it. The ones that
Yeah.
hem and haw, I know
Yes.
that they're not ready the same way. And the other thing is
Yeah.
I don't actually believe in competition, so to speak. Like I'm not a competitive person. So even though
Yeah.
I may train people and they're in my area, I always know that each person has such a unique view of an energy that the clients that are meant for me go to me, the clients that are not go to someone else. But it's
Yeah.
also really important how you present yourself. So I think that there is energy when we present ourselves as healers, or if you do
Yeah.
a talk, there's a certain energy that people will vibe with or not. And that's the thing
Yeah.
that draws your clients. Because I always get clients
Yeah.
after a speaking engagement or something because they're like, wow,
Yeah.
I get that. She understands my vibe. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how I pick anybody I work with as well. That's how I pick my
Yeah.
clients. That's how I pick, situations, places I talk. I have to feel
Yeah.
the energy of it first, and that always leads me to the right decision. When I don't listen, that doesn't work. You have
That's
to listen.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think honoring that is so important.
Mhm.
And it's exactly what I was saying a few moments ago. It's like,
Mhm.
even though there are many people who are business coaches, you
Mhm.
have to own your uniqueness and show
Absolutely.
up and
Yes.
shine and be
Yes.
ready to shine.
I agree. So my question
Uh,
for you is when someone comes to you and they are stuck in one or two sentences, how would you say like this is what you start with? Would you start with like heart energy? Because that's probably what I would do. But like how would you start them to get them like, okay, we're going this way instead of that way? What would be your first line of defense for that person?
I would not use the word
Not
defense.
defense, but I'm saying
Um,
first line of action.
yeah, but where would I start with that person? So usually ahead of time, I mean, honestly, when you are energetically aligned, people could come in from all sorts of places
That's true.
that you're not,
Mm-hmm.
if they come in through some sort of message assessment, it starts there. I take a look at what, their profile, their website, their
Mm-hmm.
posts,
Okay.
and that's where our conversation starts. And they tell me
Right.
what's top of mind for them, what
Okay.
feels the most pressing for them, and we start there
Good.
because
That's
it's
good. Yeah.
exactly, you're
Yeah.
always starting with where they are and what's their most pressing need.
Okay. Sounds good.
When we
Good.
start working together, the first thing we do is, who's your client?
You're
And
right.
let's use this different lens that I talked
Mm-hmm.
about, and this heart
Right.
to heart filter, but really narrow in on the powerful, ready to buy person who's right for you, and how to articulate that. And the reason I
Yes.
start there is because if you don't know who you're talking to, nothing else will work. It's like that's the foundation
Yes.
on which you're building all of your outreach.
You just reminded me of something, Sue, that I wanted to mention. So, when I teach Reiki people, we're taught in
Mm.
Reiki, it's universal life force energy, la la la, sounds very woo-woo. So, I tell my people, I've trained a lot of nurses that work in hospitals, and they don't want to hear
Right.
the woo. You have to package it where you're calming the parasympathetic nervous system so the body's in a state of homeostasis so it can heal. I said, don't be telling them universal life force energy and all that stuff because they're going to roll their eyes. They're going to think you're crazy. So even though this is so powerful and it works, you have to package it in a way that they understand your language. You have to speak their language. Like when you're selling a car, sell the sizzle, not the steak, as they say. So a lot of it is how you present your message, and I think that's an important thing that you're doing because you're
You meet
understanding
them
the
where
message.
they are.
Yeah,
Meet them
yeah,
where they are,
right.
and energetically where they are. Yes,
Energetically. Yes.
yes. You meet them where they are.
Love that.
And if this is a good fit, then then you take them on your journey. And um, the next thing I do with them is, then now we have your client. How do you articulate what you do for them? And this is where owning your unique brilliance comes in, and saying it in a way that resonates with your identity.
So when
And
they
the
sign up,
clarity that has to come through. And this is so key. And it has to speak to those ready to buy now buyers and not the other folks.
right. So the Unleashed Diamond Path, is that a certain amount of weeks that people sign up with you? Is that packaged by when they're done? How do you, when they want to sign up for that particular program you have, is there a time parameter or amount of sessions that you do, or is it based on your client? How do you organize
So,
that?
so I work, some people will just, I want to work one on one,
Right.
and that's fine. I take a
Got it.
handful, just a
Yes.
handful of one on one clients. People who come into the Unleashed Diamond Path,
Okay.
they work with me for 5 months, and we
Five
do a
months.
lot of intense work at the beginning to really bed this whole foundation in that you and
Okay.
I just talked about. And then I am there supporting them every step of the way in terms of while they have their trainer wheels on, because they
Right.
once they've got their ideal client, once they've got their message, and once they've actually written the letter that they give to people who are interested in working with them, which
Right. Like
really
a
defines
mission.
everything.
Yeah.
And um, then I help them get clients on LinkedIn. I work primarily on LinkedIn. And so I
I got
show
it.
them a whole strategy. And that starts with, we need to get your profile as,
Yeah. Got it.
beaming out your energy and the clarity we've worked on.
Right.
Really get your profile in great shape. And then learning how to network,
That's
how to
good.
network and have live. And the beautiful thing about, there are many things. I mean, the principles on LinkedIn, each
Yeah.
platform is slightly different.
Right.
I just personally prefer LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
but there, once you start posting and you start, you have maybe three.
Engaging.
Well, not maybe. I show
Mm-hmm.
you three different ways to post so that you can mix it up,
Right.
um, and then how to write in a way that really, so that your energy and
The
your message
words.
can shine
Yeah.
through.
Yes. That's why I don't
That
like
takes
AI. It doesn't know
what
me. I
No,
don't
no,
use AI. I use my voice.
what I say is, learn, find your voice. I will
Mm-hmm.
support you in that journey, and I give a lot of structure, a lot of sort of form, outline of format, so that you can put your energy,
That's right.
your
It has
words,
to
the way
be,
you say it.
yes, your fingerprint.
But you've got to learn. Writing is a skill. And so
Mm-hmm.
posting is really important.
Yes.
So you're learning that, and then you're learning to outreach, to network,
There you go.
and that is the
Yes.
recipe for, like,
Yes.
now you're. And the thing about online, and I think LinkedIn is particularly powerful at this, is you can very much choose who you want to network with,
Yeah.
the people who are aligned with you. The
Yes.
headline that travels with everything,
Yeah.
is those couple of sentences,
Right.
are like your beacon of, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I do it
Right.
for. And that's powerful. It doesn't happen with other platforms.
I
And
will
then the other,
mention one. Sue, are you on Alignable as well or not?
I am on Alignable.
Because I find that really, that to me is they got the relationship marketing down pat. So I prefer that over LinkedIn, although I do use LinkedIn. I prefer Alignable a lot because of the cohesiveness and the one-to-ones that you could do in a group. You know, the quick, I call them like speed dating for business. You know, that's why I love
That's
it.
interesting, actually,
They have a
because
very nice way to go about it.
and I
Yes.
have heard other people say to me, I've had people say,
Yes.
that I've been networking or with
Yes.
on a call on LinkedIn, like you and I met on, we totally met
Yes.
on a LinkedIn connection call. Um, my and so I absolutely I'm sure it's a fantastic place. One of the things I do for my clients is
Mm,
by the time they get to me, because they haven't had the clarity, they haven't been, people aren't quite sure what they do, then so people they're
mm-hmm.
not standing out.
Right.
I help. What happens is they then go and look for places to find more clients because they
Right.
don't realize it's the message,
Uh-huh.
and so are they are usually on multiple social media platforms because they're trying to reach more people,
Right. Like
because
the elephant
that
gun.
makes the sense, right? You want to get in front of more people, so your likelihood of attracting somebody. But it's actually the opposite, because what happens then is that depletes your energy. Your business becomes very tiring, very exhausting. And when your message isn't dialed in, you're still
Yeah.
not getting clients. You're still
Right.
not
That's
getting
right.
outreach. You're
So
still not getting people.
you're focusing their branding message to reach the people that you want to reach in that inner niche
Yeah.
of client.
And I say, master one platform. You can have a multi-million
Mm-hmm.
dollar business on one
Mm-hmm.
platform. Just pick
Mm-hmm.
the one that resonates the
That
most with
resonates.
you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And also, I have a program. I have,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there are multiple other pieces too, but you have the essence that we've talked about. Some people like to do retreats.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, that what calls each person is,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is part of being
Right.
in
Right.
alignment, right?
Yes. Yes. What you
But
want.
yes, I mean, I honestly sometimes I talk to people and they're creating new material for like 5 or 6 different social media platforms,
Mm. You don't
occasionally
have
every
to.
day.
Right.
It's really, that tells me they don't have their message
Nailed
dialed
down.
in, and
Yeah.
they are not dialed
Right.
into
They're going here
themselves,
and
and they
going there.
don't have their message really
Yeah.
clear,
Yeah.
because and what's happening then is that it's too
Diluting
complex,
it. They're
and
diluting it.
it's not
Yeah.
it's way too complicated,
Right.
and it's
Right.
not
That makes sense.
working.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
so I I have them like, let's get your foundation right. Let's get you
Mm-hmm.
in feminine
Mm-hmm.
energy, not all of this push masculine energy. Let's become
Mm-hmm.
magnetic, not try
Mm-hmm.
and pull them towards
Push or
you,
pull. Yes.
not
Yes.
push or pull. Allow them.
Love
Be
that.
you, beam out you clearly, and then allow them to come
I
and
love that.
be in one place and make
Mm-hmm.
that work, and then
Beautiful.
add the thing. And I love that you love Alignable,
Mm-hmm.
because I created a profile because many people have said to me,
Yeah.
you should
It's
go
a
there,
great
your people are
platform.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great platform.
And I did. And then I thought, I'm not taking my own advice here,
Right. Right.
because
Right.
LinkedIn works really well for me.
Right.
And
Right.
I have multiple connection chats a week,
Yes.
and invariably something comes
You'll
from
get.
many of those. And
Yeah.
so, including
Gotta
like
find your place,
this, for
right?
instance, the fact that you and I are talking has
Yes.
come
Yes.
about because we talked in a
Beautiful.
LinkedIn
That's how you
connection.
know.
And so, yeah, so I help people, get their outreach message and all of those things that
Beautiful.
will help the right people come in.
Right,
And
before
so,
we end
yeah,
today, first I want to thank you so much for your time, and please tell people how they can get in touch with you, Sue.
absolutely. Well, as we just talked about, Sue Begent, that SueBegent on LinkedIn is the best
LinkedIn.
place right now.
Perfect.
Um,
Perfect.
yeah,
Okay.
because my website is down because I'm
Okay.
rewriting it.
We're having
So,
these tech issues lately. I don't know, me too. But yes, yes,
thank you
that's
so much,
beautiful.
Rosemary,
You're welcome.
because
It's been a pleasure.
it's And Rosemary, this is so important. What you and I are doing, what
Yes,
all of our
I
people
agree.
bringing in. Now is the time for feminine energy. It
Yes,
is the rise of the
it
feminine. It
certainly is.
is time for there to be so much more ease and flow and money and all of the abundance that
Yes,
the feminine knows is possible.
feminine.
And
It's
we need
time.
to,
We're
it's
birthing it.
time
We're
to
birthing
shed
it.
the
Time for the goddess.
mindset of lack. We need to shed that and
Love that.
step into all we're capable of. So thank you so
Beautiful.
much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Sue. So everybody reach out to Sue on LinkedIn.
Come find me on LinkedIn.
Yes, find her on LinkedIn
and I
and
and
reach
I
out to me.
offer a free 15-minute. I would happily
Beautiful.
review any of your
Beautiful.
social media posts or website or whatever, and I'll help
Beautiful.
you find out where maybe it's just not connecting.
Thank you, Sue. I will send this to you later, and I thank you so much for being here today. Please check back rosemaryd.com. I hope people will follow my podcast and also contact you. Thanks, Sue.
Thank you very much.
Bye.